Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muhammad Fikri bin Zaini. Now I will present about the categories of exceptionalities. There are 5 categories: physical, behavior, multiple, intellectual, communication. So, you all can see on the previous slide that I shall present, there are a lot of exceptionalities. So, all of these we can put to the specific categories. Okay, firstly, intellectual. What is intellectual? This includes students who have superior intelligence as well as those who are slow to learn, such as giftedness, developmental, and intellectual disability. Second, communication. These students have special learning disability or speech or language impairment, such as learning disability, deaf and hard of hearing, autism, and dyslexia. Okay, next, physical. Students have physical disability such as blind and low vision, cerebral palsy, and Tourette syndrome. In this category, easily for us to recognize students who are exceptional by looking on their physical disability. Okay, then behavior. These students are emotional disturbed and socially maladjusted, such as ADHD and ODD. This is a characteristic of ADHD and ODD: difficult in focusing and maintaining attention, recurrent hyperactive, often actively defies and refuse to comply adult rules. The last one is multiple. These students have combination of condition. It means that students have more than one disability, such as student having cerebral palsy and visual impairment. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Hi, my name is Adawiyah, metric number 1911108. I will be explaining about high incidence disabilities among students. Students with high incidence disabilities make up 80% of all students with disabilities. Friend and Barsak's 2012 said students with high incidence disabilities share these characteristics. They are often hard to distinguish from students without disabilities, especially in non-school settings. Then, they often display a combination of academic, behavioral, and social problems. They can also meet some standards as students without disabilities when highly structured interventions are put into places. High incidence disabilities include the following IDEA categories. IDEA is Individuals with Disability Education Act. So, there are speech and language impairment, meaning communication disorder that adversely affects a child's educational disorder. This includes stuttering, impaired articulation, and language or voice impairment. There are also learning disabilities, meaning disorder in one or more of the basic psychological processes involved in understanding or using spoken or written language, may manifest in an imperfect ability to listen, think, speak, read, write, spell, or do mathematical calculation. Need to be noted that it does not apply to learning problems primarily the result of visual, hearing, motor disabilities, mental retardation, emotional disturbance, or environmental, cultural, or economic disadvantage. It does include perceptual disabilities, brain injury, minimal brain dysfunction, dyslexia, and developmental aphasia. There are also emotional disturbance, meaning where a condition exhibiting one or more of the following characteristic over a long period of time and to a marked degree, adversely affecting educational performance. Need to be noted that it does not include students who are socially maladjusted. Emotionally disturbed students exhibit inability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships. They also have pervasive mood of unhappiness or depression, and schizophrenia are also listed in the emotional disturbance. Moving on to general accommodations and modification for students with high incidence disabilities. First, we should foster listening skills, meaning praise for good listening skills to reinforce concept. Teaching listening skills is a great way to manage socialization and behavior, and it also creates a respectful atmosphere. In addition, the teacher can model appropriate language. Second, the teacher can engage students in meaningful tasks, meaning students who are motivated engage in learning more often. Next, create opportunities for social interaction, because this not only gives an opportunity to students with language issues to practice, it allows for students to learn more from each other. And last but not least, make changes to classroom environment, because each child is different. Changes in seating arrangement and availability of resources may be a factor in keeping students on task. These tasks can be complicated when dealing with students with physical or developmental disabilities. So in the next lesson, my next presenter, intern, will explore several of the more acute disabilities students can have, and they are often known as low incidence exceptionalities. That is all from me. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Lily Nurliana Azufar binti Nurli. In this part, I would like to discuss with you guys about low incident disability. What is low incident disability? The disabilities that have lower probability to occur within the population of student special needs if compared to the high incident disability. So, it means that the chance of you bumping into the students with that kind of disability is low in the population of students with special needs. It is proved by the total of the student special needs who have low incident disability from the whole population of student special needs, which is 10%. There are three types of low incident disability, which are first, visual impairment, second, hearing disability, and third, other physical and health disabilities. Before we discuss further about visual impairment, I would like to share with you about the importance of our eyes in a study. 80% of learning in classroom is through visual. If a student who have this kind of problem will get difficult to catch up like others, and his academic performance decrease by time to time. So, visual impairment determined by visual acuity and visual field. Visual acuity is the ability to clearly differentiate objects. The picture shows the example for people with normal visual acuity and loss of visual acuity. One is clear and another one is blurry vision. For visual field, is the visible area inside without the need to turn the head around. So, as you can see, the picture below shows that a max of our visual field. There are 5 types of people who lost our visual fields. Number 1, island of vision. Number 2, heminopsia. Number 3, loss of peripheral vision. Number 4, loss of central vision. And number 5, scattered blind spots or scotomas. Island of visions. A child only see isolated parts, and this type will be determined by how big, how many, and where the islands of vision are. Next, heminopsia. A child only see half of visual field, could be left or right or top or bottom. This child will bump into people or things hidden in the half of the visual field. For loss of peripheral vision, sometimes called tunnel vision, the child can see straight ahead and will not be able to see at the sides. Then, for loss of central vision, it is like looking at the picture with a spot in the middle. And last, scattered blind spots or scotomas. It is losing parts when he is looking at them. A children can tell how big the blind spots are, and so on. Traits of student special needs visual impairment. First, if a child cannot see what that he learns, he will lack focus in class. Second, a child will clumsy and bump into stuff because his vision is not clear. Third, if a child cannot focus in class, so his development of language and speaking ability will late and their academic performance also decline. Next, if a child from baby he has visual impairment, he will have slightly have different motor development. Lastly, he did not have many friends because he did not social with others. First thing first, you need to know that socialization and learning process start with the ability to listen. Listening is vital because in a learning process, we use our listening to listen to the instruction. The inability to hear leads to a standard cognitive process, which is understanding the instruction given. Hearing disability divides into two categories, which are hearing impairment and deafness. Hearing impairment is a hearing loss, whether permanent or not, that affects students' academic performance but is not categorized under deafness. Meanwhile, a deafness is a severe damage to hearing, causing inability to process linguistic information through hearing, thus affecting his academic performance. Traits of student special needs for hearing disability. First, if a child cannot hear what he learns, he will lack focus in class. Second, his voice is less clear when speaking because he cannot hear his own voice. He also shows less understanding of instruction. Next, he likes to increase the television or radio volume. Then, he always complains about earache. Lastly, he lacks opportunity to develop social skills from incidental learning. Before we'll dive deeper, I will give you a soft introduction on what is actually the other physical and health disabilities. So children belong in this category are those who have physical and health problems that cause disruption to the education process and also the attendance to school. Normally, students are categorized under this category. They need a special classroom environment or a classroom environment that has been modified with assistive technology and mobility and also therapeutic services. So, in this other physical and health disability, there are two categories. The first will be the orthopedic disability, which is disability that are caused by congenital abnormalities, for example, clubfoot and limb disability, cerebral palsy, and includes nervous system disabilities. The second will be the other disability, which is disability that cause the child's strength to either be limited or amplified. For example, ADHD, epileptic, leukemia, Tourette syndrome, and others. Traits of student special needs with other physical and health disability. First, for cerebral palsy, is an impairment on voluntary movement and posture caused by damage on some part of the brain that in charge of the muscle movement. Second, for spina bifida, is happen as a result of the failure of the backbone to form properly, causing a bump to be formed on the backbone. Lastly, for muscular dystrophy, is happen due to the lack or loss of a protein named dystrophin in the muscle. This protein is responsible in ensuring the muscle is working properly. Oh, that's all from me, and I would like to pass this floor to a next presenter, Nazira.
Hi, Assalamualaikum everyone. Lastly, with me, Siti Nazira, I will explain as a teacher what are the strategies for us that we can use to deal with exceptionalities learners. We can see that students and even some teachers may view the extra attention special needs students receive as unfair. However, according to long-time special education teacher that was king, fairness is not about treating everyone the same. Is it giving everyone what they need? Is it quite likely that you will have a diversity of students in your classroom, representing a variety of talents and abilities? So here, I will explain some useful strategies how we can deal with exceptionalities learners. Firstly, as you can see, we need to identify their disability for other students and cause them to receive some form of attention they may not be able to handle. We need to be aware that special needs students may not want to be singled out for any special treatments. Second is we may repeat information several times and reinforce it in many ways. Why? Because special needs students may require extended periods of time to master a concept or learn a specific skill. dynamics of the classroom is both promotes and enhanced. Why? Because it will provide significant opportunities for students of all abilities to learn from each other. So everyone feels like he or she is contribute in class and participate actively. 4. Don't make inappropriate assumptions based on students' exceptionalities. Is it really important for us as a teacher to not judge and label all students' capability based on what we see? For example, don't assume that a student who is confined to a wheelchair is an unhappy child. Also, don't assume that children with disabilities are disabled in all areas. 5. We help students understand that grading, evaluation, and assessment is based on identifiable objectives with individual potential. Evaluation should not be coupled with the limitation of students, but rather to their expectation. Clear? We create a method of good communication between us and students' family. As we know, this is the one of the most important elements of a child's educational journey. Is clear. Why? Is it vital for good communication to exist between both parties in order to guarantee that a child's cognitive, social, and emotional development is progressing naturally? For example, parents can get ideas from school on how to help and support their children and by learning more about school's academic programs and how it works. 7. We create a safe and structured classroom environment. Being as an effective teacher, we will provide structure in the classroom. Why is it important? Because students can enjoy themselves and focus on learning. In a structured learning environment, students are more likely to thrive and experience personal and academic growth. A lack of structure can destroy a learning environment and lead to misbehavior and waste time. And lastly, 8. We incorporate visual into instruction, such as pictures and image and so on. It will give a lot of benefits to learners. Why? Some of them, these benefits, are helping to store information longer as a long-term memory and helping in better comprehension. Visuals help